Without a doubt, this is one of the most interesting free agencies we've ever had in NFL history, especially if you take into consideration the quarterback position. And what I mean by that is this year, legendary quarterbacks like Tom Brady and Drew Brees, and fairly respectable quarterbacks like Teddy Bridgewater, Ryan Tannehill, Jameis Winston, Phillip Rivers, Case Keenum, and Dak Prescott are all scheduled to hit NFL free agency. And depending on where the top quarterbacks land, we could see the first round of the NFL draft shift entirely. Despite the Cincinnati Bengals being a near lock to draft Joe Burrow, it's not completely outside of the realm of possibilities for them to trade for Cam Newton. You also have another former number 2 overall pick hitting free agency, and that's Marcus Mariota. And we haven't seen anything like this in NFL history. We haven't seen a deep QB class like this in quite some time. And without a doubt, it is going to make for some interesting headlines this offseason, and it already has. I've already seen Tom Brady photoshopped into multiple jerseys, such as the Las Vegas Raiders, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and even the Dallas Cowboys, who apparently have a franchise quarterback. So that should just give you an idea of where this offseason is headed. And my goal to you as an emerging NFL news channel is to bring you all the latest and greatest news. So if you enjoy the NFL and the XFL, make sure to subscribe and turn notifications on so you can get all the latest and greatest news that you may not typically see in the headlines. So the very first piece of news that I need to bring up to your attention, guys, is we already know of the situation in Los Angeles. And by Los Angeles, I mean the Chargers. The Chargers made a very interesting move by announcing that they are not going to re-sign Phillip Rivers. Of course, Phillip Rivers, without a doubt, is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, quarterback in Chargers history. And this past season, I guess you could say he kind of slumped. In 2018, he threw for 32 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. And this past year, he threw for 23 touchdowns and 20 interceptions. He did throw for over 4,600 yards, but at the end of the day, the Chargers finished at a 5-11 record. And you can attribute that to other things like Melvin Gordon's holdout was a little bit of a distraction in the beginning of the year. But at the end of the day, their head coach, Anthony Lynn, came out and said that Phillip Rivers wasn't the type of quarterback that he would want on the team because, with all due respect to Phillip Rivers, he wanted to run a different type of scheme. Now, I immediately thought, okay, well, they're probably trying to get a new quarterback because this is one of the deepest quarterback markets in recent memory. There's so many options for the Los Angeles Chargers here that it's kind of crazy. For one, you could sign a quarterback in free agency. You could sign a Marcus Mariota if you really wanted to and you really believe in his skill set and you think you could build a good offense around him. But on top of that, if you didn't want to go that route, say if you didn't want to sign a quarterback in free agency, you could trade for Cam Newton, which we're going to get to Cam Newton's situation as well, because that's a very interesting situation in of itself. But if they didn't want to do any of those things, they have the number 6 pick in the NFL draft. And I'm assuming the number 5 pick is going to be the Miami Dolphins either drafting Tua Tagovailoa or trading up to draft him. But the number 6 pick is a great place to draft Justin Herbert from Oregon. So there's a lot of options for the Los Angeles Chargers, but call this a smokescreen. This is what the general manager, Tom Telesco, had to say about the quarterback situation in Los Angeles. He said, "I like our internal options." And what does he mean by internal options? By internal options, Tom Telesco means that he is comfortable with Tyrod Taylor to take over the reins over Phillip Rivers. And I do have my doubts that the Los Angeles Chargers are going to rock with Tyrod Taylor when you have the option to draft a young rookie quarterback, or at least have a young rookie quarterback sit behind Tyrod Taylor, or sign a player with a ton of potential like Marcus Mariota. So I find it very hard to believe that the Chargers won't at least go that route. But the fact of the matter is, Tyrod Taylor is a proven quarterback. And I know that may sound a little strange, but if you look at his work, he has shown in the past that he could be an effective game manager. He has never thrown more than 6 interceptions in a single season in his entire career. In 2015 with the Buffalo Bills, he threw 20 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. The year after, it was 17 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. And the year after that, it was 14 touchdowns to 4 interceptions in his final year in Buffalo. He's always had a completion percentage of at least 61%. The only con to his game is he's only thrown for about 3,000 yards in each of those seasons. He's not ever going to air it out for your team, but I don't think that's what Anthony Lynn would want to do. When you have a team that has two very, very, very good running backs in Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler, I'd assume that Anthony Lynn would want to employ an offense that's very similar to the offensive scheme that the San Francisco 49ers had, although probably not as complex. We already know that, the Shanahan run offense is completely different than your typical offensive running scheme, and I don't think it could be replicated that easily, but I can imagine Anthony Lynn trying to go a similar route to that. Now, on top of that, we got some very interesting news about Cam Newton. And typically owners are this blunt. I don't know why David Tepper would go ahead and be this blunt, but a question was asked in regards to Cam Newton's health. Of course, you understand this past season, Cam Newton wasn't really able to play much due to injury concerns. And this tends to happen with quarterbacks like Cam Newton. Unfortunately, he's a scrambling quarterback. He's a huge quarterback too. So he takes a lot of hard hits. So injuries do end up piling up when you're in your 10th NFL season. And I hope other scrambling quarterbacks kind of take a look at Cam Newton's career as a bit of a precaution, because this guy's taken so many hard hits. It's kind of ridiculous. You can look at a bunch of compilations on YouTube, but this is what the owner of the Carolina Panthers had to say about Cam Newton's future. He said, "Listen, I'm not a doctor, and I've said it a million times. Is he healthy? He's not a doctor. There's a lot of different things that can happen. But first, is he healthy? Tell me that, and then we can talk." That's kind of implying that the team may be down to move in a different direction, and I can't really blame them. This is a great opportunity for the Carolina Panthers to move in a different direction, and so far, they've done everything they can to distance themselves from the Ron Rivera era. Ever since Matt Rule has come into power, we already saw a familiar face such as Greg Olsen get told that he is not going to be brought back, which is understandable because Greg Olsen in of itself wasn't very healthy. So it's going to be a very interesting thing to watch, because Cam Newton is going into the final year of his contract, and for all you know, he could end up getting traded to a team like the Los Angeles Chargers. But not only the Chargers, I'm sure a myriad of teams would be very interested in trading for Cam Newton and giving him a one-year run to see how he will fare in their offensive scheme before committing to him in a long-term contract. So let me know in the comment section down below, what are your predictions for this offseason? Where do you think each quarterback's going to go? Do you think most of them are going to re-sign with their current teams, or do you think some teams are going to take a run at new quarterbacks? I'd like to hear what you have to say. And of course, if you're new to my channel and you enjoy my content, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm your boy Mike, and I'll catch you guys later.